You ever see someone just throw sodium into water and you think, I need some of that in my life. Like, it looks more explosive than the triple scooped high stim pre-workout. It's not as cool when it's just table salt, but as it turns out, it's probably one of the strongest performance enhancers, so let's get into that. My name's Shay. I'm a nutritionist and an international level athlete, and let's talk about sodium. Now, sodium is a very strange one because a lot of the research and a lot of the public media is against it. So why is that? The most notable publications are called the DASH diet publications, which, you know, took a lot of middle-aged hypertensive people, so maybe you're thinking, oh, well, they already have a bad diet. And they put them on the DASH diet, which has an emphasis on fruit and vegetables and whole grains, and actually less protein, particularly meat, a little bit of dairy there too. And when they put them on this whole food, low sodium diet, what do you think happened? Well, they had lower blood pressure. So why am I against this? Well, if you compare it to the control, it's like, okay, what did the control eat? Well, they just had like a regular processed American diet. So it's like, okay, one group eats like trash, one group eats whole foods, one group does better, the whole food group. Oh, it must be the sodium, right? It can't be the fact that Billy over there is like chasing down his KFC with his McDonald's and a bag of Cheetos. It's like, this is sodium, dude. Perhaps this is caused again by some of the processed food marketers bribing people on nutrition boards to say, oh, it's for sodium. It's not, well, you can eat our processed food, dude, it's fine. I don't really know, but it makes no sense, especially when this is being taught in school. It's like, how's this happening? You people are at like the top of education and there's just no critical thinking. Like, I've seen more critical thinking in a dead rat. Now let's get into why we actually need this for exercise. So this is a funny one because it's like, well, if you're actually trying to better your health, you're probably going to be exercising. And if you cut out salt because you think it's going to cut your blood pressure, your exercise is going to be so low quality. Like, it's going to be about as intense as your grandma watching The Chase on a Tuesday night. It's like, it doesn't really jack you up, does it? And as well, like, if you're a healthy individual who's, you know, training regularly and eating reasonably well, your risk of cardiovascular disease from the sodium is pretty much zero. You know, that's if sodium is actually causing anything, but either way, your risk is like zero, so why are we still worried about salt? So at the core, sodium is absolutely mandatory to transmit nerve signals down nerve axons and also at the synaptic cleft, which is the gateway to actually receiving the signals and making your muscles work properly. So it's like, oh yeah, dude, just cut that out of your diet entirely, dude. See how that goes. And when that nerve impulse can't actually be received properly, this is when you get cramping, which is just your muscles contracting involuntarily. And depending on what you're doing, if you get a bad cramp, it might be the end of your session or your competition, especially when you consider that it's probably going to happen again if you haven't had enough sodium, unless you have sodium on you, which is probably unlikely because otherwise you probably wouldn't be cramping in the first place. I even see the guy just like cramping really bad and he's trying to get off the field and he cramps again and he's just like crawling and trying to get off, dude. It's like, guys, we just got to put this guy down humanely. So if we don't have sodium, we can't really control nerves, so yeah, we need that. But I'd say a lot of the performance enhancers, assuming you have enough to actually not cramp, a lot of the performance enhancers come out of blood vascularity and also like cardiovascular output depending on the session you're doing. So more sodium means more plasma volume, which is the non-red blood cell part of your blood. So this means more blood volume total, which leads to more cardiac filling and more stronger heart contractions. So you're actually getting more blood pumped out per beat. It's like when you're really thirsty and the barman pours you a nice pint of Guinness and instead of splitting the G, you dump that guy down in like 3 gulps. Like those are the big gulps that your heart's doing, dude. Really good for your health. But yeah, really important for oxygen delivery as well. If you've studied a little bit of physiology, you'll understand that there are three muscle types. You know, your cardiac and your heart. There's your skeletal, which is your regular muscle, and there's also your smooth muscle. And this is related to actually controlling your blood vessels and how they contract and expand. And they need to expand when you're exercising, and sodium can help do this just by making them work better and dilate quicker when you start exercising. So if you're changing exercise, it's like, okay, well, okay, I'm starting to use my shoulders now, I need to dilate all these blood vessels. That's what sodium does. So particularly in that early stage of exercise, it's going to be really vital in making sure that cardiovascular output's really good and just blood flow in general. So your session's going to be a lot better if you're actually getting enough sodium. If you're wondering, please be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing. It's free, helps me out, and actually boosts your tests as well, which is clinically proven. Now into hydration, sodium has a huge role here. So basically the core part of this is osmosis, which means there is pressure for things on either side of a membrane to be equal as far as concentration goes. So if sodium is higher on one side, it's going to cross and even out. And the thing is, this occurs with all nutrients. So when sodium goes across, it kind of pulls everything else with it. So it can pull a lot of water as well as nutrients and even co-transport with amino acids. So it's like posting that shirtless thirst trap to Instagram. You're just pulling in all sorts of DMs, like pulling everything in, dude, including guys. Probably a lot of guys. Probably mostly guys. Probably just entirely guys. But yeah, with more salt, sugar and water will actually uptake a lot quicker and more effectively, which is the whole basis behind sports drinks, not Prime, because they don't have any sodium for some reason. I was thinking about doing a video on that. I saw people doing like the Lunchables one. It was like, doctor reacts to Lunchables. It's like, do we need a doctor to tell us why eating processed cheese and a chocolate bar probably isn't the best lunch? But yeah, salt's pretty big in rehydration, just making sure all that stuff's uptaken properly, and also improving power output and just cell hydration to make sure everything is working properly. So as far as dosing of sodium goes, I don't follow like a close dosage. I just salt pretty much all of my meals, and usually I don't cramp, so that's pretty good. I feel pretty good. The thing is, like sodium, if you have too much of it, if you're a healthy individual, you'll just piss it out without too much hassle, so I'm not too fussed about having too much salt. So a teaspoon of salt is 2 grams of sodium, and if you're, a healthy, somewhat active individual, maybe go for like 3 to 5 grams at least. And if you're a really sweaty guy, because the best way to actually measure things is using these like sweat tests, but it's a big pain, and I doubt anyone's actually going to do those, so if you're a really sweaty guy, maybe go for like 7 grams. If you're doing like hyper endurance stuff, you probably want more than 10 grams as well, actually consuming it while you're doing like a 3-hour session on the bike or something crazy. And as I said before, the salt will help sugar uptake, but the sugar also helps the salt, and it's kind of, mutually helpful. So, you can kind of make your own sports drink, which is pretty handy. Just like, you can pretty much just grab any like juice and put some salt in there just to keep it simple. Just not Prime, because there's no sodium. I guess you could do, wait, does it even have sugar? Like, I swear this is just a terrible drink. Anyway, I just find it so funny that these lazy, like, health practitioners, because, like, the thing is, if you're dealing with someone who has health issues, they might be a little bit unmotivated, and you don't want to, like, bombard them with so many different interventions. So, you might pick just 1 to 3 things to focus on, and then they pick one of them as sodium. It's like, well, really, dude? Really, like... Coincidentally, like the guy who has no actual formal training in health related things is probably just going to say, oh, cut out the processed food and exercise in half an hour a day, and you're probably going to get way better results than the actual health practitioner, which is so funny to me. It's like the health system is so broken, people don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, that's been me. Hopefully this was helpful. If you did enjoy, there's some more videos there. I'll see you next time.